Hey, I'm Jamie Daggers. I'm a full-time mini painter and streamer on Twitch. When you were younger, were you the kind of person to come home with all sorts of trinkets and treasures in your pocket? I know I was. I still kinda am. I remember my mom getting mad at me for having rocks and toys and stuff that I would keep in my pockets, turning her dryer into a homemade rock tumbler. I haven't really lost that as I've grown older, and I find myself keeping all sorts of things that other people probably think is trash. Now, before you get the wrong idea, I want to be clear. I'm a big fan of the second R in the reduce, reuse, recycle slogan. I love using these hidden treasures as tools for my hobby. I've decided to record this, my first YouTube video, as a way to kind of document 5 of those treasures that I really love to use. And in fact, I almost use every time I paint. So I hope you'll come with me as I go through my 5 favorite trash to treasure hobby tools. Through the magic of editing, we are now at my hobby desk. Nice job, Jamie. Picture's looking good. It's still good. Yeah, lighting's fine. You got this. Just go for it. The first item on our list today, something you see every so often, it's yogurt lids. Now, I call these yogurt lids, but really, they come on all sorts of things, different shapes and sizes. The key component is that they're flexible, they're relatively non-stick, and I use these for making all sorts of homemade tufts and terrain bits that you can use for basing or making your own terrain boards. They're the perfect portable surface for, say, making your own tufts. Pour down some glue, your favorite color of static grass, or maybe even something like these reeds here, and you've got a completely bespoke basing bit that you can add to any mini or terrain board. You can always make the tufts any length you want, long hedges like this, or you can cut them down to size. And then, of course, you can make smaller tufts like you're used to buying at the store. Put a dab of glue down on one of these bad boys and your favorite color of static grass, and you've got a tiny little tuft, just like this guy. Next item on the list is something that I used to throw away all the time, but now every time I see a packet, I save it. Silica beads. You tear one of these packets open, and this is what you get. A lot of these tiny little clear plastic round guys that are designed to keep moisture out of your board game or shoebox, but also make really great basing material. You need some alien eggs or bubbles under the surface of a murky swamp, or maybe some eyeballs on something you're sculpting out of green stuff or milliput. These guys make the perfect sphere. This next one can be found at your local coffee shop or hotel in the morning before you leave for the con. Coffee stirrers. These little sticks of wood are great for a number of different things, but what I usually use them for is spreading around glue or texture paste on the base of a mini. They're also really great for basing themselves. You can cut them down to size and glue them together, paint them to look like old wood like I did here, and use them as a broken piece of wall or plank on your post-apocalyptic basing. The great part about these is that with little prompting, you can just make a small clip and tear them apart and get all these irregular shapes. Or you can just make a little snip on the end of them with the grain of the wood and tear that piece apart and you get these nice straight planks. To scale, they make a really, really great basing material. And their little brothers, the toothpicks, are not to be overlooked. They can also be used for a multitude of things, like stirring a paint pot. Whoops, forgot a piece, Jamie. There you go. Now the next one's a little weird, but I think you'll like it. Hobby crumbs. Little leftover pieces of MDF or sprue bits make for all sorts of really cool irregular shapes. My favorite example of this is using the MDF from Demon Ship to make a base for the Survivor. I also keep around a container of these little plastic crumbs that are clipped off the side of models or when I'm resculpting something to use as medium ballast for basing. Other cool things like this fletching I made out of an old card sleeve for arrows and realistic basing materials. Now I know a lot of this has been basing themed, but I can't underestimate how cool some of these shapes can be repurposed for magic effects or something like that. If you've ordered Takeout recently, you're definitely going to recognize this next one. A multi-pack of these guys will last you forever, and I use them for things like mixing glue with water for basing materials, or using the ridges along the outside to clean a brush. I also have one that I use for paint-on primer all the time. I just keep reusing the same one. They're also great for storing those hobby crumbs we were just talking about. As a bonus, I'll share a new secret tool that I've been experimenting with. Now, I've got 2 cats running around my house, and every once in a while I'll find one of their whiskers discarded on the ground. I figure, why let them go to waste? See, as artists, everything that we encounter can be used as a tool. I use whiskers as a makeshift precision brush. I've used these to make really straight, thin lines for freehanding or panel lining. Or if I really want to get some super precise eye makeup or detail, these things always do the trick. Just grab your favorite acrylic ink or standard acrylic paint and load up the whisker just like you would an old-fashioned quill pen. You might recognize our old friend the coffee stirrer from earlier in the video. All I did was tape a whisker to the end of it and you have a custom brush. I will admit this did take a little practice to get just right. But if you practice a couple times on the back of your thumb, or maybe a model you don't care about, you'll find that it starts to make sense after a few tries. Since we're used to working with brushes with larger bellies that act as paint reservoirs, it's a little bit strange using a brush that doesn't actually hold any paint. I started my experiment with a very thin Liquitex ink and eventually graduated to this beautiful dark plum from Pro Acryl. But I recommend just trying out different things and see what works for you. See for yourself what sort of cool things you can create with something that somebody else might just throw away. Earlier I mentioned using this for some freehanding, so rather than taking my word for it, I'll just show you what I've done. Check out the tattoos on this cool Viking from Eldritch Foundry. There you have it. 5 trash to treasure hobby tools. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, consider giving me a like and a subscribe and a comment below. Tell me your favorite tool that you use that other people might think is trash. I'm really new to this YouTube thing, so all of that helps a ton. I also have some YouTube shorts, some other hobby tips that you might think are cool. If you wouldn't mind going and checking those out as well, I'd be really appreciative. I don't think I'll have a schedule just yet, but keep an eye on this space. I'll be coming up with video ideas as I go. Like I mentioned before, I'm Jamie Daggers. You should come check out a stream sometime. I stream 3 days a week over on Twitch. I'd love to see you in chat. Head on over to daggers.tv and follow me there if you want to see when I go live. Thanks for spending your day with me. I hope you keep hobbying, and of course, don't forget to make marks. See ya.